Well, Piers Morgan is full of bile, and some of what he does is hate speech, to be honest with you. Trade unionists come out every day. Trade union leaders and activists come out and face the cameras and the media and give a full account of what they do and have to face a lot of hostility. We do that because we want to spread the truth and because we have a lower chance than people like him who are self-propelling windbags, as far as I'm concerned. Well, Piers Morgan is in a very elite position. He's in the pay of oligarchs, and he has been for a very long time, the super rich. If he had to do what my members do, getting up at all hours of the morning, and all those public servants out there, and private sector workers as well, working shifts in arduous working situations in all kinds of weathers, putting up with all sorts of conditions, they wouldn't last a minute, given the regime our people have and given the pay levels that they've got. They wouldn't survive on what our people have to put up with, and they wouldn't have a future in the real world where they've never done a hand's turn, as my mother used to say. I don't think trade unionists are represented fairly in the media. There's a standing position that you get from what is called the right-wing press. That's a cliche, but I think it's accurate. So if you take the Telegraph, the Mail, the Express, and of course the Sun and the Star and whatever else is out there at the minute, there's very little freedom or ability for trade unions to express themselves. And you get all this stuff about union barons and union militants and all the rest of it. And that is in some ways repeated in the mainstream media, such as the television and the radio. The BBC is under a lot of pressure from right-wingers in the Tories about being a left-wing and liberal institution. And so they tread a line that I think regurgitates government and employer press releases. And it's very difficult for trade unions to get their point across. But we must be breaking through in some way, and the new media outlets on social media does give us an opportunity, and more people don't trust the mainstream for various reasons. And that means that we can get our voice out. And some people have said that I've done a decent job, and other trade unions have done a decent job of trying to break through. But it is an uphill struggle because it seems that everything is pitched against us and there's no neutrality in the media. So we've got to keep trying hard. But the main thing is we've got to convince our people, trade unionists, to take the action. And then I think that spreads to other people in the communities, whether it's in your pub, in your mosque or in your church or temple. People have those discussions about what's going on. Every worker knows that they're underpaid. And the only means to address that is through organised labour. So we'll keep going and get the message out there through whatever means we can. There are fake stories all over the place, and BBC has fallen for one of those and had to delete it, and I'm glad they have. But if you go on social media, I think they're called bots, people claiming to be train drivers and people claiming to be RMT members and others and nurses that are not doing any work. I can tell you that every worker out there is working as hard as they have ever done. And it's not the fault of the nurses and the medical staff and the support staff in the hospitals that the hospitals are in crisis. That is a direct result of underfunding. It's not the fault of the railway workers that the railways don't work when we're not on strike. And when the railway is collapsing around us, it's our members that have to face the anger, rightful anger in some ways, and frustration of the travelling public, that they can't rely on a train service. And that's true of services all over our country. So there's a fake narrative, there's a lot of false news, and it's deliberate. It's orchestrated by certain people, right-wing groups and others, that are pushing these lines that strikers are lazy, that workers are lazy. I'm not going to accept that, and I know that most of the people should be cynical about what they're being fed. Talk to your local public servant, talk to your railway workers, but even our police officers and all the rest of them. Everybody is facing it at the moment, and everybody's rightly cynical about what they're being told and fed in the mainstream media and elsewhere. So let's try and cut through and get to the truth. It's difficult for working class people to get their voices heard, to get trade union leaders heard, to get the expressions of solidarity that we want to hear. And channels like this, Double Down News, it's really important that you join us, that you become linked up, and that we have this ability to express ourselves. So join Double Down News on Patreon.